just want to say a couple things. I just want to be crystal clear that this is not about affirmative action. I don't even know where that came from. I don't know who Dan is or anything. But also, it's also not about free speech. I want everyone to have their free speech. But listen, the Jesus Guy on Library Walk is not a student organization. Your fees don't go to pay for the Jesus Guy, whoever he is. We all know that the Koala is a racist publication. We all know that they're a homophobic publication, so on and so forth. We all know that the messages put forth in the Koala further marginalize and further harm people who are already underrepresented on this campus, affecting retention, success, psychological health, everything. So why is it okay for the university that we go to, which is a public university, to sponsor those messages? That makes no sense at all to me. So you can think about that whatever you want, but yeah, who's liable in the end when someone gets seriously harmed, a student kills his or herself because of these messages? I don't want it to happen, but at that point when it gets that far, who's liable? I'll tell you who's liable. It's going to be the Associated Students and UCSD. That's just how it's going to happen.
Do we have the gap again?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm an international student from England. Yeah, I'm part of iHouse, the iHouse community. And I just wanted to give a little bit of a perspective of the international students and how we've sort of perceived this battle, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of friends who've like left at the end of last quarter and they planned to stay the whole year. And it was, I think, mostly just because of a lack of diversity and a lack of being able to fit in with the rest of the students here, just with the whole university. I think that a lot of the international students feel isolated from the rest of the university, and a huge part of that is the diversity. And a huge part of that is also just feeling as though they don't fit in with the rest of the university, and the Koala is a big part of that as well. And it's definitely a problem with the ideology of America, and definitely of the students. I mean, we're representatives of America, and when students from International House go home to their universities, they're going to be like, San Diego's racist, like UCSD's racist, UCSD's homophobic. I can prove that. I've got a publication that shows it. And yeah, I just urge you guys to take that into account, because a lot of the students are going home and are hearing, I mean, some of my friends from England have been like talking to me like, oh, what's going on back in England? I hear like there's crazy like racist stuff happening on your campus, and I'm ashamed. I'm actually ashamed to say that I'm a part of this university sometimes.
Yeah, man. We have 1 minute Extend it to 5 minutes.
There's been a motion to extend time by 10 minutes. Is there a second? Second. All in favor of extending time by 10 minutes, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, public input will be extended by another 10 minutes.
Okay, I just wanted to quickly speak about the ramifications of the current climate on campus. I know personally as a student, I reach for reconciliation and peace with a lot of people. One of my roommates actually was in student-run television and is friends with a lot of the drunken students we call the koalas here on campus. And you know, in the beginning, like, I really didn't feel comfortable or safe on this campus after everything had been said. I was wondering to myself why I went to UC when I was getting called the N-word on student-run television, and I spent some time talking to my roommate because I felt like there was a gap, a difference of experience that we had had that kind of made it really hard for us to be empathetic and understand one another's emotions. And I think as we continue this debate going on, that maybe before we like have these huge public debates and make sweeping reforms or don't make sweeping reforms, that we need to start talking to one another on an individual level to start understanding that my experience is unique to the person next to me. That I do not understand what it's like to be like a gay or a Muslim student on this campus, and to simply make a decision based on a few words and a few legislative decisions is kind of counterproductive to what education here is at UC San Diego. So first of all, I just wanted to say, like, I personally, at March 4th, had to defend a Koala student from getting beat up, not because I agree with what they have to say, because I think what they say is despicable, I think what they say is racist. I personally feel that it's hurtful, psychologically, what they say, and damaging to the experience of being a college student here. But I remember seeing this guy, who I think his name's Chris. He was out there, and this girl had got pushed for whatever reason, and a guy, Chris started talking, and which was a bad idea at the time, and a guy wanted to fight Chris, and I remember running down with a sign at the protest that said love, because I think that's what we want in the end, and I put myself in between the two. And you say, like, you know, these aren't insightful words, that these are just words, they're just fun. But the fact that by your very utterance and that by the very fact that you called someone the N-word, someone immediately wants to fight you, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous as a campus to say that these are just words. They have deep impact. And if you're going to make it a First Amendment issue, at least have the goals to own up to the wreckage that you caused by your painful words to other students. Okay, I understand that there is a great gap that separates us from understanding everyone's side on this. But let's at least talk about this before we start making huge sweeping decisions. Let's at least try to understand other viewpoints before we go into our fragmented groups. Let's at least have the respect to see each other as equal human beings with the right to feel safe on this campus. I know there's another member on AS who's also in Pike, and I remember seeing him at one of our meetings of reconciliation and talking when students were just decompressing. And there were a lot of students in that room that didn't want him there. And I said, basically, he has the right to be here. What we should be doing is speaking to one another on an individual level. What we should be doing is recognizing that, hey, you may be hurt, and I want to understand that and not make you have to justify why you're hurt first before I try and sit and talk to you one-on-one. So I understand that there are people here who think this is a First Amendment issue. There's people here who think it's an affirmative action issue. There's people here who are just drunk and think it's kind of funny. I say that as we all are gathered here today, why don't we just talk? Why don't we just spend time getting to know one another, understanding maybe the type of campus that we want to have. And as AS, I understand you guys all have huge decisions to make that are going to weigh on you heavily right now. But I think instead of saying that this is simply a First Amendment issue, let's say that it's a human issue and the ability to understand what type of campus climate we want. Because I personally don't know if I can go to a school where it's okay to call me the N-word on TV when all I want to say is I love you to other students.